Hello guys and welcome to the second and final for at least now video about the current Dune series, where of course I'll be covering everything to do with Dune Part 2. This is a 2024 epic science fiction film once again directed and produced by Denis Villeneuve, who this time co-wrote with Jon Spaihts. This, like the first part, is based on the 1965 novel by Frank Herbert. Anyways, let's get into the main plot. This follows after the destruction of the House Atreides by House Harkonnen. Princess Irulan starts a journal over her distaste about her father, the Emperor, betraying the Atreides. Meanwhile, on Arrakis, the Freemen with Paul and Jessica overcome a Harkonnen patrol. When they reach the Stitch Chab, some of the Freemen begin to suspect that they are spies, though Stilgar starts to convince some of them that these two could bring the prosperity to them. He then informs Jessica that their reverend mother is dying and she must succeed her by drinking the water of life, which is a poison that is fatal to males and untamed women. She does this and survives, where she begins to inherit the memories of the past mothers. It also prematurely wakes the mind of her unborn daughter, Alia, allowing them to communicate with each other. Both agree that Jessica must convince the more skeptical Freemen of the prophecy. Non-believers are Chani and her friends who believe it was fabricated to manipulate them, though she starts to respect Paul after he declares that he only intends to fight alongside them, not lead them. Both begin to fall in love as he begins to immerse himself into their culture. He learns their language, becomes a fighter, learns how to ride a sandworm, helps with raids against the spice operations, and adopts traditional names. Though due to these invasions, Baron then replaces his nephew Rabban as Arrakis' ruler with his younger nephew, Theod Rotha. Jessica travels south to unite with Freemen fundamentalists who believe more strongly in the prophecy. Paul, though, remains north. This is from fears that his visions of an apocalyptic holy war will happen if he goes as a messiah. During another raid, he then reunites with Gurney, who then leads them to a hidden atomic stockpile of House Atreides. Rotha unleashes an attack on the northern Freemen, which destroys the Stitch Tabs, and forces them to go to the south. When they arrive, Paul drinks the water of life and goes into a coma. This angers Chani, but she's convinced by Jessica to mix her tears with the liquid, which awakes him. He then sees a vision of a grown-up Alia on a water-filled Arrakis. He then sees the path to a victory among all possible futures, while finding out that Jessica is the Baron's daughter. He then meets with a Southern Freeman Council. He then shocks/convinces the crowds by demonstrating his ability to get their deepest thoughts. He declares himself as the Messiah and sends a challenge to the Emperor, who then arrives with Irulan and Saraduka. He then kills the Baron, where he captures the Emperor. While this is going on, Gurney leads an assault on Arrakeen, where he stops and kills any fleeing Rabban. Paul then challenges the Emperor for the throne, and to Chani's dismay demands to marry Irulan. Rotha then volunteers to be the Emperor's champion, though in a duel Paul kills him. Irulan agrees to his request for marriage on the condition that her father lives. This is where the Emperor finally surrenders as he kneels and kisses Paul's ring. The Great Houses though reject his ascendancy, where he orders the Freemen to attack them. Jessica and Alia start to reflect on the beginning of Paul's new war. Chani then refuses to bow down to him and departs alone on a sandworm. For returning cast members, we have Chalamet as Paul, Zendaya as Chani, Ferguson as Jessica, Brolin as Gurney, Bautista as Rabban, Skarsgård as Valimir, Rampling as the Reverend Mother, and Bardem as Stilgar. Then for the new cast members, we have Austin Butler as Rotha, Florence Pugh as the Princess, Christopher Walken as the Emperor, Léa Seydoux as Lady Margaret Ferlin, and Anya Taylor-Joy as the grown-up Alia. Buff Henderson returned, with Tim Blake playing an unrevealed role, but their scenes were not in the final cut, though both were given a special thanks credit from the request of Denis. This was produced by Denis along with Mary Perrin and Cale Boiter, Tanya Lapotan, Brian Herbert, Kim Herbert, Brian Merritt, Thomas Tull, Spaihts, Richard P. Rubenstein, John Hamilton, and Herbert W. Gain served as executive producers. Then Kevin J. Anderson served as a creative consultant. Legendary CEO Josh Grode then would confirm in April 2019 that there were plans for this sequel. By April 2020, Denis then stated that due to Warner Bros. Plans to release films in theaters and Max simultaneously for that year, that he felt that the film would underperform financially, which meant that the sequel would be cancelled. Even then, the first film wasn't officially titled Part 1, but did have that title in its opening credits. Though in August 2021, the director spoke more confidently about the chances of a Part 2, reiterating his excitement to work with Chalamet and Zendaya again, while confirming Chani would be playing a bigger role this time around. Behind the scenes, the company assured him that the sequel would be greenlit as long as it performed well on the streaming service. But once again, just before the film's actual release, the company's CEO, Ann Sandnoff, essentially said the sequel's happening by quote-unquote saying, "Will we have a sequel to Dune? If you watch the movie, you see how it ends." I think you pretty much know the answer to that. Legendary would officially greenlit the film on October 26, 2021, with a spokesperson stating that they would not have made it to this point if it wasn't for Dennis, his crew, the writers, the cast, and Warner Bros. Work would occur back-to-back with the original, as Dennis and Tanya immediately took a flight to Budapest to begin pre-production. A key negotiation done first though was assuring that the sequel will have an exclusive window to be shown initially in theatres, which resulted in both companies agreeing to give the film a 45-day window before it would be available through any other methods. This was non-negotiable personally to Dennis, who believes seeing a picture on the big screen is the best method. The next step for him was to make sure to start filming as soon as possible, with his aim for it to be in the last quarter of 2022. In November 2019, Spatz would step down as the showrunner of the upcoming series Dune Prophecy, to focus more on writing the sequel. Between the release of Part 1 and the confirmation of this film, Dennis began to work on the script so that production could begin straight away. By February 2021, Eric Roth, who co-wrote the first film, created a full treatment for the film, with the writing properly beginning at that August. He would go on to confirm that Roth would be appearing and that he would be an important character. By March 2022, Dennis would mostly finish writing the screenplay. He stated it would continue directly from the first film, with describing it as an epic war movie, saying it would feature more action. With the film focusing more between Paul and Chani, Chalamet would say that his character would be heavily influenced by Chani, with her essentially serving as a moral compass. Dennis really wanted to focus on Frank's original intentions to depict Paul as an anti-hero in the book to eventually becoming a villain. He also had this on his mind while writing the script, along with his future plans for Dune Messiah. More with the second part was to modify Chani's characterization a bit, as he felt that she eventually disappeared in Paul's shadow in the books. He interpreted Chani to now be a critique of power. Another character he would expand the role on was Jessica too. When it came to envisioning the sandworm sequence, he primarily relied on his own drawings or storyboards, as he felt the book did not give much description to that moment. He would go on to say that it's one of his favourite moments in the film. When it came to storyboarding Paul's arc, he would then take inspiration from Akira. He overall felt that the ending they gave to the film was much more tragic than the book, feeling it resolved a part of their own storyline for Paul while still setting up their adaptation of Messiah. When it came to Rolf's character, Butler felt that he served as an opposite side to the same coin with Paul, as both had been involved in the Baron's genetic breeding program. Overall, being brought up on Prime and the self-care put into his body was why he was so arrogant, while Dennis thought that his psychopathic personality and brutality came from something of an animal. When it came to the sequence of Paul taking the water of life, the director deliberately made it focus on the time frame to show a grown-up Alia for a dramatic effect, while highlighting her unique birth. But both him and Spatz would end up compressing the time of both the sequence and Jessica's pregnancy in order to establish more on the narrative's tension. He also felt that adding her conversations with Alia was very unique, as it would add to how powerful she can be even with being pregnant. He did also try to develop the princess's character and motivations compared to the novel, with Pugh noting more about her reserved nature and intelligence. Both Pugh and Butler were reported to be in talks to start in their roles in March 2022. Butler would be offered his role while having coffee with Dennis, without even needing to audition. He would then be training for 4 months in Budapest with a fitness regime made by an ex-Navy SEALs member. The director would go on to describe his performance as a cross between a killer and Olympic swordsmaster, a snake, and Mick Jagger of all people. The actor would go on to research into past cultures which bred brutality, and took inspirations from various animals, which included sharks and snakes. He would draw inspiration from Gary Oldman and Heath Ledger in his performance. He would imitate the voice of the Baron, as he felt the character would be influenced by his uncle growing up. In May 2022, Walken would join the cast, with June Sondask then entering negotiations to join. By January 2023, Nelson would be added. Then, while attending the film's London premiere in February of this year, Taylor-Joy confirmed she would be playing a role. Dennis was surprised that her role was actually kept for a sequel for so long, knowing that it required so much work to do. Though after initial confirmation, an actual role would be revealed in a casting credit on Letterboxd. Pre-shooting for the film began on July 4th, 2022 at the Brolin tomb in Italy for 2 days. Principal photography was planned to begin on July 21st in Budapest, but began early on July 18th. It was shot entirely on the Arri Alexa LF digital cameras, with new filming locations and set being used to avoid repetition. Chalamet would take a break from filming in October 2022 to attend the premiere of Bones and All. They would then manage to shoot during the solar eclipse of October 25th, and even use footage from it with the opening fight scenes between the soldiers. By November, production moved to Dubai, with Pugh finishing the scenes that month. Certain scenes that would need to be set at dawn would have to be filmed across 3 days each to take advantage of the golden hour. A special unit would then have to film scenes with Taylor-Joy in Namibia, the driest country in sub-Saharan Africa. Filming would go on to wrap on December 12, 2022. Pugh delivered her opening narration during her first day of filming. Dennis and cinematographer Fraser filmed the gladiator sequence with specially designed black and white cameras. They also wanted the crowd to cheer and stomp rather than applaud, and designed over 30 sections of spectators in the arena. Butler would spend his first week on set filming that scene. The set would have very high temperatures, which would cause people to even faint. He also improvised that kiss scene with Baron also. For romantic scenes between Paul and Chani, they would film in remote locations in Jordan during the golden hour. They would be filmed as quickly as possible, with only a 1 hour time slot window being available. The Sandworm ride was filmed practically on a production unit, which would be separate from the main one. This would be led by Tanya and a special team. Chalamet actually estimated how long the scene took for him to film, and it was over 3 months, with individual shots occurring over a span of 20 to 30 minutes. Both him and Butler would have to separately train with a Cali instructor in LA for the battle between their characters. They were so excited to do the scene and immediately began practicing once they met in Budapest. They would perform the scene by themselves, including wide camera shots. Hans Zimmer returned to compose the score. He would even compose over 90 minutes of music before the film's announcement to even give Dennis inspiration when it came to writing. 2 singles from the soundtracks were released on February 15th of this year by Warner Tower Music, which were A Time of Quiet Between the Storms and Harvester Attack. The film's soundtrack was released 8 days later on February 23rd. The first teaser trailer for the film was presented during the Warner Bros. Panel at CinemaCon on April 27, 2023. The first look footage of the cast and characters revealed online with a teaser post on May 2nd. The first trailer would then be released the following day. Chalamet and Zendaya would go on to discuss and promote the film at Warner Bros. Presentation at Cine Europe on June 21st. A second trailer was released on June 29th. It would then be promoted during the December CCXP with Timothée, Zendaya, Florence Austin and Dennis appearing. They would then show 10 minutes of footage. More footage would then be shown at the IMAX re-release of Tenet as a part of Warner Bros. Celebration of its former releases. Both the company and Legendary would partner up with Xbox to release designs of a controller, Xbox Series X, and a console holder inspired by the film. The game Microsoft Flight Simulator would also include an expansion pack allowing players to explore Arrakis and pilot an Orphanhopter. In December 2023, both Paul and Rafa would be added as playable characters to Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, with an additional Harkonian soldier skin being announced in March of this year. In December 2023, McFarlane's Toys would then announce a new line of 7-inch figures modelled after characters from the film. Legendary Comics will also be releasing a Dune Part 2, the official movie graphic novel, with the help of a Kickstarter campaign, which they also did for the first film as well. According to research from Nicolja Mathis, CEO of Vivo Media, the promotional campaign for the film on TikTok included 117 posts over a year before its release, which was an increase compared to the first, which had 108 posts. Messages from the cast were 24% of these videos, with both of course being Timothée and Zendaya garnering the most views. According to Fanbox, 50% of users are female, and hashtags such as Zendaya garnered billions of views, leading to an audience of Dune to potentially grow by a 65% increase from 2.6 million to 8 million. Promotions from other countries included Japan, which had a collaboration with Mobile Suit Gundam Seed, specifically their film titled Freedom. This featured a poster from Dune Part 2 having the characters replaced with the ones from that franchise. Did you think I forgot about something though? In January of this year, images of an upcoming Dune themed popcorn bucket from AMC theaters would go viral and become a massive meme. This would be because its sandworm design would be compared to a... Oh, I guess YouTube doesn't like them words. Reaction to this design would receive millions of views on TikTok, and these jokes would then be featured on US late night TV, including a musical sketch on SNL featuring its cast members. People would go onto online to ask the cast members as themselves what they thought of the bucket. Dennis's personal reaction was that it was an insane marketing idea that brought him a lot of laughter and joy. 2 months after these events, AMC's chief officer would go on to state that they would never have released the bucket or even created it if they knew it to be celebrated or mocked online, but did add they plan to create more collectibles for upcoming films. Of course they are, this puppy resold for $175 a pop each. The film was originally scheduled to release on October 20th, 2023, but then be delayed to November 17th, 2023. It would then get moved forward by 2 weeks to November 3rd, though unfortunately to the rightful 2023 Hollywood strikes, it would then get pushed back by 4 months to March 15th of 2024. After the strikes were resolved, it will then get moved back up by 2 weeks again to March 1st. A red carpet event for the film was hosted in Mexico City on February 6. Its world premiere was then held in London on the 15th. It'd have its digital release on April 16th and be released on disc on May 14th. It was then available to stream on Max on the 21st of May. The film would be shown early on January 16th though. This was to a dying man in a care home in Canada, specifically where Dennis was from. The man expressed so much about how he wanted to see the film before his passing. Jose Gargon, a founder of a company who would aim to help people with their last dreams, would pass on his wishes to both Dennis and Tanya through Facebook. According to him, they were both very touched. They initially offered to let him see the film in LA or Montreal, but since he was too weak to travel, the director decided to actually send one of his assistants with his private laptop to show the film. Of course though, everyone present had to hand in their phones and sign waivers to prevent anything leaking. Unfortunately though, the man was in too much pain where he would only see half the film. He would then die on January 25th. Rest in peace. As of May 17th, the film has grossed $282.1 million in US and Canada, with $248.5 million in everywhere else, so overall making $710.6 million. $145 million then profits came from IMAX screenings alone. The advertised ticket sales would surpass the films such as Oppenheimer and would make $65 to $80 million in its opening weekend. $32.2 million was from its first day, which includes $12 million from early previews. According to Jeff Goldstein from Warner Bros., it was much higher than they predicted, especially for film in such a genre. In its second weekend, it will make $46 million, finishing second in the box office behind Kung Fu Panda 4. It also passed the domestic gross of the first film in just a week. It would then make $28.5 and $17.6 million in its third and fourth weeks, remaining in second place as well. It would then become Timothy's highest grossing film, surpassing Wonka. In its opening weekend in China, it would make $20 million. As of April 14th, its highest grossing markets outside the US are the UK with $48.1 million, China with $48.1 million as well, France with $41.8 million as well, Germany with $38.7 million, and Australia with $22 million. Critically, it would receive raving reviews from critics, but it would be praised for its visual effects and cast performances. Some would even consider it the best science fiction film of all time. On Rotten Tomatoes, it would get a 92% from 425 critics. Metacritic would give it a 79 out of 100 based on 62 reviews. It received an average rating of 4.5 out of 5 on Letterboxd from 48,000 reviews. Steven Spielberg himself would go on to praise the film, calling it one of the most brilliant sci-fi films he had ever seen. He would go on to know that it was filmed with many deep characters, praised writing and cinematography. Some people have criticised the film though for failing to deal with the original book's Middle Eastern and North African influences or incorporate enough representation from these regions. confirmation of Dune Messiah in August 2023, Denis has said that it would serve as a conclusion to a trilogy. He would then go on to develop a script that year. In February of this year, he has said that it's mostly finished and that he also said he doesn't want to rush it, and he says he wants it to do better than Part 2. He's also considered waiting a few years for Timothée to actually grow older, given the book's version to be set 12 years after the events of the original book. Zimmer has revealed that he's already writing the music for the film after Denis came in and put a copy of the book on his desk. The film's official confirmation was in April, with the director and legendary beginning development. He has gone on to say that this will be the final Dune film he will personally make. This is just a masterpiece in every way. Denis has just outdone himself once again. I really enjoyed part 1, but this has really outdone it in my opinion. The visuals are gorgeous, where it becomes so immersed in the world thanks to its stunning shot and its ooze and colour grade. Some of my favourite moments too had to be the fight/action scenes due to the amazing choreography, and Zimmer as always has done a spectacular job with the music. The performances were all incredible with raw emotion. I love the chemistry between Timothée and Zendaya. I also love the new additions of Florence and Austin. I give this film a solid 5 out of 5 or a 10 out of 10. So guys, that is my thoughts on Dune Part 2 with everything you need to know about the film. And yeah, I absolutely love it. It's my favourite of this year so far, and I'm not sure if anything's going to surpass that, but yeah, really great film. I can't wait for Messiah whenever it does release, because I know that Denis wants to take a good break working on a couple of projects even before that, even without it being set 12 years after, you know, the original book. But yeah, I'm very excited. I haven't really got anything else to say, and yeah, please like the video if you like these videos, subscribe if you did like this series as well, and comment down below with your own thoughts about part 2 along with any
So yeah, I have no clue what happened there, especially in the outro of all things, but I've been editing this video for like the last week or so, and everything seems to have been fine, but this rare occurrence in audio happened where at that point, literally the audio just started repeating itself and it went back to the very start of the video, even though I recorded like a good, maybe another half a minute. So nevertheless, ignoring that, and it was a first time thing ever, never happened before. Comment down below any missing facts I may have had, and yeah, I think that's all I really have to say now, other than liking, comment, subscribing, yada yada yada. Isn't the biggest priority, but it's a nice little perk while getting to make videos that I enjoy making. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you with whatever I cover next.